Now, a couple things I want to mention. The first thing that came up is word count. So with these kinds of process diagrams, for whatever reason, it can be kind of hard to hit 150 words. They tend to be very close to 150. When I was writing a model for this one, I really struggled to get it up to 150. But I'll tell you something, IELTS doesn't count words anymore. Okay, they haven't counted words in a while, they just never told anyone. And they did that to speed up the marking process. The other reason they did it, I believe, is an ethical reason, in that you can write a thorough description of these kinds of diagrams in less than 150 words if you're a good writer. Okay, it's not a problem to do so.
That's good.
It kind of is, but more than that, I don't think it really matters. Because it's like in school, I give people minimum and maximum word counts, but maybe 199 times out of 200, the word count makes no difference to the quality of the essay.
Yeah, like I meant like it's good for the when we being like when we are in the exam, so we don't like stress about counting our words. We concentrate about making the good grammar. And
that being said, if it's too short, it's probably not adequate if it's way under. And especially with the essay, writing task 1, I can see where this is going to come into play, especially with a diagram like this one. But with the essay, I still think at least 99 times out of 100, you need to write closer to 300 words for a high band score. Because you can't, because writing task 2 is a little bit different because you have to develop your ideas. There's no, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, only in this type of diagrams.
Yeah.
Not like in the disagree and agree.
Yeah, you want like good sized paragraphs for those.
Yes.
Right. All right, so let's talk about this one. So the diagram below shows the life cycle of a salmon. And a pronunciation note, the L is silent. A lot of people liked smoked salmon. All right, if you order salmon at a sushi restaurant. So just take a minute to look at it and think about how you would structure your response here. How would you organize this information? All right, so how would you organize this information?
By 2 cycles?
Like what would those 2 cycles be?
Like I will talk first about like river cycle and then ocean cycle, and there is estuary, which I can like make an relative or something between them.
So there's, okay, why 2? Why not do 3?
Or 3, yes.
So you've got clearly river, estuary, ocean, so 3 different places. And then how many stages are in the life cycle of a salmon?
Nine.
7 stages?
7, 9 or 8? Incubation.
No, 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so 8 stages in 3 locations. Do these words have good synonyms?
Like the words are very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
What does mean estuary?
Oh, so it's right here. I don't know if you can see it. Estuary is the tidal mouth of a large river where the tide meets the stream.
Oh, where the two river and ocean meets?
Well, yeah, it's like the mouth of a large river.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a transition area, I guess.
So we can write it in the body paragraph of river.
You could.
Otherwise, if we'll write it as one separate body paragraph, it will be very small, hardly maybe one sentence or two sentences.
Yeah. So you can put it together with the body paragraph about the
River,
river.
because it's part of from the, according to the definition.
Mm-hmm. Okay, migration. I guess synonyms for migration could be what?
Traveling,
Travel, move, swim.
transfer,
Not transfer. Transfer is more like you're the recipient of some kind of action. My company transferred me to this other location. You wouldn't really transfer yourself. You wouldn't say I transferred to Scarborough from Mississauga.
Flows?
Sorry?
Flows? Instead of migration?
passes, post.
Sorry, I'm just having trouble understanding which one Allah is referring to.
Flows. F-L-O-W. Flow. Flows.
Flow is something passive, like tree branches flow along with the stream.
Oh, okay.
So a boat would only flow, would go with the flow, I guess, would flow down the river if the motor wasn't working. Okay, how about maturation?
Growing?
Mm-hmm. Becoming adults. So we've got migration will be, we had move, swim, travel. I don't know if I missed one. We had maturation, grow, become adults, get older, incubation, is there a synonym for that? Incubation is pretty specific, right? I can't
Yes.
think of a synonym. Emergence. Emergence is a noun. The verb is much more common, so you can just say emerge. Rearing. What does rearing mean?
Breeding.
No, breeding is the process of having kids. Rearing is like raising kids.
Uh-oh.
Yes, parents.
Except I'm not sure if raise can be used with he raises sheep, he rears sheep. I guess so. I'm just gonna look that up very quickly.
Parenting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we want to use that for animals.
Mm. And here, what is the word? Freshwater rearing?
Yes.
What is the name of this one, or?
Well, it's where it's happening because the rivers are freshwater. So the adults are taking care of the young, or they're just growing up and learning, I guess, in that environment.
Ian, how to pronounce this? Estuary or estuary?
That's right. The second one you said, estuary.
Estuary. Thank you.
It sounds like a ch.
Sure. Okay.
There's not really a good synonym. There's lots of synonyms, and they work for humans, but they don't work for animals. So don't paraphrase rare. You can say they are reared. Migration, growth, and maturation. Growth, you can say getting larger. Spawning areas, breeding grounds. Okay, that'll work. And grounds is plural. For example, if you've got a really big house with a huge property, you might hire a groundskeeper, right? And it's always the plural version.
Sorry, I did not get. You mean the ground without plural s? The ground R?
So if you hire someone to take care of your property, that person will be called the groundskeeper.
The groundskeeper. Okay, if we will write the ground word itself, we can say ground, like last assignment. Push the water up to the ground.
Yes, but breeding grounds means an area. This isn't ground like the dirt. This is like playground.
Okay.
So for them, usually it's plural. So spawning grounds, breeding grounds, spawn. I guess we can just say breed. Okay, let's do a little bit of writing then. Why don't we do it this way? Just to change things up a little bit. How about I assign each of you a different paragraph? Dina was right. Let's put the first two stages together, river, and then a little bit about the estuary at the end of the first body paragraph. So we need an intro with a general overview. Then we need one paragraph that covers incubation up to estuary, and then another paragraph that covers from migration to rearing areas up to spawning. Give you each of you time to write one of these paragraphs.
Or salmons.
Yeah. Salmons.
Salmons, yeah, salmons. Ending?
Okay, let's look at the last part first. So this is the last part takes place in the river.
Yes, like, but I wanted to include the estuary too of the river.
But you said ends with.
Oh yeah.
To spawning areas, migrating from spawning areas in the so the spawning area is not in the ocean. Spawning area is in the river part. So it's migrating from the ocean
Into
to
the, yeah. Spawning areas of the river.
now. So this is the grammar that we've been talking about.
Oh, so in the case of S, we should say the life cycle include A stages that starts with X and Y, right?
And end with Y. That start with X and end with Y. So this is a relative clause, right?
Yes.
But now if we want to do participial phrase, we got to change this. It's just like we did previously. That is a pronoun. It's like the subject of the verb. So you got to get rid of the subject. And
Start.
then, yep. And then you got to change this. Remember, this is active voice, not passive voice.
Start.
So we're going to get rid of that. And then how do we change start?
Starting.
That's it. Starting with X and
Ending.
that's it.
Jan, can't we say starting with and ending by?
In many cases, yes. Ends with is more common.
Okay.
So here we're going to change this, starting with salmon spawning in the river, and then ending. Migrating is 1T because it's a long A sound. The double consonant makes the vowel sound short. So if this had a double T, it would be pronounced migrating. Migrate. Okay, we got Chomries here.
I also thought that it's starting from the river. So I thought it's from the incubation that I should start with.
Yeah, yeah. No, you
Mr. Yan,
should.
sorry, can you see mine? And
Where is yours?
I printed in the.
Is yours on your screen?
In the main screen.
But is yours on your computer? Is it on your screen? Because I don't see yours.
Okay, I copied. I put it in the chat now.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Technology fail. Okay. Yes, I see it in the chat.
Yeah, yeah. Good. I copied it before I.
Oh boy, that was lucky. Okay. A diagram depicts the life
Yes.
cycle of a salmon, which has 9 stages. I count 8.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I think it starts with the incubation stage in the river, and then it starts with the incubation stage in the river, good, and then migrate to the ocean. So migrate is a verb. What's the subject of this verb?
Subject of it.
What does it mean?
The process.
Yeah. So the process starts with the incubation stage in the river, and then when you're making a list, you have to have what's called parallel structure, which means all the items in the list need to have the same grammatical construction.
Yes.
And in this case, and it's always determined by the first item in your list. So if you've got the incubation stage, this is a big noun, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have something similar here.
And the next stage, no. Estuary stage, no.
No, just change the form of this word.
And then migration.
Yep, this is better already. And then migration. It starts with the incubation stage in the river, and then migration to the ocean, and finally
Moving back to the river.
moving back is okay, or movement back. Finally. Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave that was E. We got moving or moving back to the river, the final stage. This one, okay. This is your best option.
Movement.
Because you've got noun, noun, noun.
No.
This one is also a noun, but it's a participle. This one aligns better.
Okay.
Both of these are acceptable, which is the spawning stage. Good. And then let's find, here's Dina's. Okay, we'll do Safa's first because she did the first body paragraph. So both of those are fine for the intro. So that's Safa's, and then I'll put Dina's here. Salmon life cycle starts with migration from oceans to spawning areas. Okay, Safa, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Salmon life cycle starts with migration from oceans to spawning areas. not at rivers,
And river.
in rivers. At this point, what are you missing here?
Comma.
Yeah. Salmon spewing, not spewing. Do you know what spew means?
Oh yeah. A.
Spew means like throw forward.
Yeah. I should put A instead of E, I think. Yeah.
And there's also an N missing, so it's spawning. Salmon spawning is happening. It's a bit awkward. Is there a simpler way that you could say this? Instead of spawning is happening, what about just using the simple verb?
Spawning happen.
Do you need happens?
Salmon.
Salmon spawn.
Spawning. Spawn.
Right. Very simple. Salmon spawn. And then
Spawn or
eggs,
spawns need S?
plural. Salmon is non-count. It's like fish. We don't have salmons. It's just salmon. I bought a lot of salmon at the supermarket. Salmon spawn, and then eggs are incubated. Followed by emergence, small salmon were being reared with fresh water. Okay.
Can we say egg being incubated?
Where eggs are, with salmon spawn, with eggs being incubated. I think the incubation happens after they spawn, according to this diagram, because it's a separate stage. Salmon spawn first, and then eggs are incubated. Okay, followed by emergence. What does emergence mean? What does emerge mean?
Oh,
Like evolve?
yeah.
You'd say that the chick emerged from the egg. The chick emerged from the egg. In the spring, bears emerge from their hibernation. Bears emerge from their hibernation.
Like hatch?
Yeah, hatch or come out. Yeah, if you let your kids play in the basement, you can say, "Oh my God, I haven't seen you all day." The kids have finally emerged from the basement. Okay.
Like they appear for the first time?
Yeah. At this point, salmon spawn and then eggs are incubated. If we want to do it like this, then we have to do comma followed by emergence. No, followed by emergence from their eggs. You could do followed by emergence from their eggs. Could do that. This step is followed by emergence from their eggs. Okay. Or the other way we could do it is following salmon, let's say the tiny salmon are reared in freshwater. In the river. Why did I put followed by emergence here and following emergence for this version?
Um,
For the first one, the original which is followed by.
Yes. So it's passive,
So
right?
it's passive voice, yeah.
And how about the second one?
It's active voice.
It's active, but it's a little bit different because following emergence from their eggs, there isn't really a good way to turn that into a dependent clause. It would be the same as
Something follows other, like this type of fish follows this.
are moved to. I'm not too crazy about the passive voice here because I can pick something up and move it to another room, but I don't think that's what's happening with salmon, is it? Is it a farmer moving them, or do they just move on their own?
I think, Mr. Yan, in natural cycle, we use more active voice.
Yeah. So we're going to get rid of the S. After that, what do we need after that? Comma. And you can hear it. After that, salmon move to an estuary. We're rearing salmons again. We're rearing salmons again. Where it's a continuation, right? Where, let's just say rearing continues. Where rearing continues before immigrating. So they're not getting their immigration papers, they're just migrating. So emigration and immigration are legal processes. Migration is the just neutral process of movement. After that, salmon move to an estuary where rearing continues before migrating. Again, it's not too clear what the antecedent is, so where they migrate or what it refers to. Move to an estuary where rearing continues before they migrate to the ocean to continue the life cycle. Okay. Once the small fish This is yours, yeah, Dina?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you've got they here, right?
Okay, yeah.
Small fish are out from the estuary, which is the opening of a large river, and where the tides of river and ocean meet. Good. So adding this detail was a good idea because it helps to increase the word count. Small fish are out of the estuary. They travel to rearing places in the ocean, where they grow up and get older. Okay. So here's in the river. Okay, good. Okay, and I'll just give you the version that I wrote. The diagram depicts the stages in the life of a salmon from incubation to maturity. It can be clearly seen, that's a good phrase to use, it takes care of passive voice, that there are 8 stages in the salmon life cycle as it matures from egg to adult in 3 locations, river, estuary, and ocean, in a cyclical pattern. I would add this too, because it's kind of the purpose of the diagram is to show that this is a never-ending cyclical pattern. The first 3 stages of the salmon life cycle take place in rivers where adult fish incubate their eggs. When the babies emerge from eggs, they are first reared in the fresh water of the river. Next, as the young salmon grow, they move to estuaries where their rearing continues. Following this period in estuaries, salmon migrate to rearing areas in the ocean, where they continue to grow and mature into adults. When it's time to spawn, or you could say give birth, these fully grown salmon migrate to spawning grounds in rivers, and the cycle begins anew. So there we've got spawning grounds. Okay, any questions?
I think this one in task one, I think it's easier than paragraphs. I mean the graphs, the bars,
Yes.
because
I
here
agree.
you just like rewrite the image. Like there is ideas, you just have to make them on consequences.
I personally, I find the graphs easier, but yeah, because this was hard. This is 141 words. I really struggled to extend this at all. So this one took me a while to do because of the low word count. So I just gave up at 141, stopped messing with it. Okay. If this is easy for you, that's awesome. Yes, this is also the kind of language that you use in biology, right? So you've encountered this kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah.
In your training, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, shall we take a short break?
Okay.
Okay, let's take about 10, 15 minutes till 10 after 11, and then we'll continue. We'll do one more of these.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, talk soon.